Hello, everyone. This is Ray Savage with Cambium Networks. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar on the PTP 450i. If we are making a recording of today's presentation, and it will be available for everybody on the community later today. And if you do have any questions during the course of the presentation, please use the question and answer dialog box on the right-hand side of your screen. Well, joining us today is the product manager for the PTP 450i, Sagar Deshpande. And Sagar, we're ready for you.
Thanks, Ray. So today we're going to talk about the PTP 450i. PTP 450i is one of our flagship point-to-point products that we have in our portfolio. So let's go about to the next.
All right.
All right. So the quick agenda for today is to do a quick overview of our entire PTP portfolio and kind of see where the PTP 450i fits into it. Next, we're going to do a deep dive in some of the features for 450i. We're going to focus a little bit on the dynamic interference filtering, which is a way in which we reduce the interference from different channels on the same band. Next, we're going to talk about some of the best resources that we can use to understand more. If you have any questions or concerns with respect to 450i or any of our other products. Also, we're going to focus on the PTP 450i key takeaways towards the end of the lecture, and then we're going to take questions towards the end as well. So this slide kind of highlights all of our point-to-point portfolios or products that we have. So towards the left-hand side, we have the PTP 450. So that's a product which has a max throughput of around 200 plus Mbps, and we do have it in the 3 gig, 5 gig range. Next, we have the PTP 450i. So that's the product. So that has a throughput speed of around more than 300 plus Mbps. Some of its couple of features are it has ARQ, which we'll get into a little bit later on. And we do have a ATEX HAZLOC version for the PTP 450i, which we'll also get into later on. The next product that we have in our portfolio is the PTP 670. This is our new flagship product that we launched 2 months back in June. So key features for this product is the headline throughput is around 450 plus Mbps. It does have the HCMP capability. HCMP stands for high capacity multi-point, which means you can connect multiple HCMP slaves to one HCMP master, and then you can kind of allocate you can allocate resources on the same line. The PTP 670 also has the DSO feature enabled in. The final product that we have is the PTP 700. This is our military grade product, and that also has a high throughput of around 450 plus Mbps. So this slide kind of gives you a background of what the PTP 450i is and how global of a footprint it has left so far. So the PTP 450i is predominantly has a lot of roots in North America and South America. Also, Southeast Asia and Mid Asia, the products has been selling really well. Also in Australia and most of Europe, the PTP 450i has got great reviews. And it has a very good mean time between failures as well. So people are really liking this product. So just to kind of focus in on where the PTP 450i fits in, what are its market opportunities and some of its applications that we can fit in. So today we're just going to focus mainly on the oil and gas industry for mining, public safety, private networks, and service providers. So we can go through it one by one. So heavy industries such as oil and gas, we have the PTP 450i, which can be used for video surveillance. It also can be used for providing connectivity to equipment and devices, especially offshore in the middle of the ocean. For the public safety sector, the PTP 450i comes with the AUX cable, so you can kind of use it for video surveillance, as well as for last line for backhauling a lot of traffic to access point or to remote station. We also have a private network service that you can be using over here. Also, a lot of service providers use this as a second tier backhauling solution to their web of connectivity, so that they can push through a lot of data from their PMP 450 backhaul it to using a 450 to their main center. So this kind of gives you a overall arching product portfolio of what we have so far. So in this diagram, we can kind of see ePMP, PMP 450, PTP 650 or 670, and the PTP 450i. So you have homes that are connected using PMP 450. So then you backhaul that traffic either using a PTP 450 or a PTP 450i. And this kind of creates a network in which you have the whole solution based, so that you can kind of use it in different applications. So on the left of the diagram, you kind of see the PMP 450, which is mainly used for, you can kind of say, private networks as well as individual networks. On the right-hand side, you have the ePMP, which is predominantly used for home networks. And then using a PTP 450i or 650, you can backhaul it to your main service center or your main office, and then you can monitor using the management system for all of them. This so this kind of provides a lot of benefit, like versatility in deployment. So it depends. So based on how much throughput you need, we can cater through using ePMP, or if you need a little bit more, you can use a PMP solution, especially for end customers. Also with the backhauling solution, you have the 450i, which is around 300 plus Mbps, and the 670, which is more the 450 plus Mbps. So we have the 450i also has low latency, between 3 to 5 milliseconds. So it has a high availability over long distances. And keeping the management and simple, the network management, it's much easy to kind of monitor all of this using one solution overall. So this kind of highlights the top level product line and some of its high features for the PTP 450. The 450i comes in two main flavors, the 5 gig solution and a 3 gig solution. As you can see, the 5 gig solution, the band it operates is from the 4.9 band to the 5.9 band. So it has the 4.9, 5.1, 5.2, 5.4, and 5.8 band that is required. The channel bandwidth is between 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40. So this actually gives you a lot of range with respect to channel bandwidth. A lot of times what we see in the field is like you have limited channel bandwidth availability. It's really hard to find 40 meg or 80 meg of open space to kind of use. So if you find 20 meg, it's fine. But a lot of times you're just stuck with maybe finding 15 meg or 20 meg, maybe even 30 meg if you're lucky, especially in densely and crowded networks. So the 450 has a nice capability of kind of selecting how much ever channel bandwidth you have with these options, so that you can try to maximize the bang for your buck. So you can try to transmit much more than that. The PTP 450i also has the max TX power of 27 dBm. This is coupled with the 23 dBi antenna gain that we have. So it gives a good EIRP of 50 dBm. So let's now talk about the 3 gig PTP 450i. The 3 gig operates from the 3.3 to the 3.9 gigahertz spectrum, and this has this one also has the 5, 7, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 mega channel bandwidth, which has the same applications as the 5 gig as well. The max TX power for this is 25 dBm, and the antenna gain that this comes in with is the 19 dBi antenna gain. Some of the key highlight features or flagship features of the PTP 450i is ARQ support. So ARQ mainly means is there's no packet loss between the two radios. So which means if you send a packet and for some reason the packet is corrupted, an ACK is sent back, and if the ACK is not sent back, the packet is retransmitted again. So there's always 100% guaranteed of the packet passing through this radio. So this is really useful if you have like private networks and those kind of stuff where it's really important to not lose some of the packets. Also, it has a packet processing of around 40,000 PPS. So this is really useful for processing a lot of small packets like video surveillance, where like there's a lot of processing power that's involved, especially if you connect the auxiliary cable as a video surveillance tool to your backhaul solution. This is really useful there. The PTP450i comes in different encryption settings that we want. You can have the 56 AES key as well as the 128-bit 56 DES key or the 128-bit AES key as well. The modulation depends, and it can go up to 256 QAM. So the headline throughput for the PTP450i is 310 Mbps at 40 meg channel. This is with the 5 millisecond frame size rather than the 2.5, which is sometimes used. The difference between the two is depends on the application, if you want high throughput or low latency in either way. So the PTP450i is ATEX HAZLOC certified. So what does it actually mean? HAZLOC actually stands for hazardous location, and these are actually classified as classes and gas groups in which the product can interact with. So we have the class 1 location, division 2, and gas groups A, B, C, D, and we are certified for that. And the ATEX actually stands for atmospheric explosibles. So this actually, again, we are compliant with the equipment group 2, category 3 is zone 2, and gas group IIC, and temperature class T4. So where are these applications? Where can you actually use the ATEX HAZLOC products? It's mainly in utility companies, oil and gas, nuclear reactors, defense, and petrochemical industries. So the PTP450i provides a good solution of using the ATEX and HAZLOC solution for backhauling a lot of traffic, especially in hazardous location, to a remote safe site where you can connect to it as well. Some of the universal applications for this is the non-line of sight for the 450i, as well as it operates over long distances and over water as well, and is it has a high RF interference level as well.
Sagar, we did have a question come in over the line about the HAZLOC certification. Now, as you correctly pointed out, the PTP 450i is Class 1 Division 2.
Right.
And the question that the person is asking is, do we make any radios that are Class 1 and Division 1? And maybe you can explain what the difference is.
Right. So Class 1, so right now we do not have plans to make Class 1 and Division 1, at least in our current roadmap. But we will give it a thought and kind of see how it goes. Class 1 Division 2, I am also not 100% specific on how technically different it is from one with each other. The division level kind of varies from the level of interference caused by the environment. So Division 1 is much harder than Division 2, and Division 3 is, it kind of goes in, so Division 1 is the toughest environment that we have, and then Division 2 is slightly less, and then kind of goes on from there.
So what would be the typical applications for a 450i in a HAZLOC environment? What can it be used for today with Division 2?
That's a really good question. So a lot of times you want to provide a video surveillance solution for, let's say, within a nuclear reactor or within a petrochemical industry, near especially places where there are a lot of hazardous fumes that come by. So you want to monitor the temperature sensors. Maybe you want to monitor some of their video surveillance to kind of see the levels of the liquids, or if you want to monitor some of the air pressures over there. So backhauling those data using a 450i is a very safe solution that we have, and some of its applications can be used here. So also another point is you can use a 450i ATEX HAZLOC on one side and a regular 450i on the other side, and they should still be interoperable. So you don't need to have two ATEX HAZLOCs for it to be compatible.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right. Now we're going to focus a little bit on the PTP 450i AUX port. So this is the PTP 450i comes with two ports. One is the PoE, which powers the radio as well, and it just mainly powers the radio and sends the data. The second one is the auxiliary port. The auxiliary port is a secondary data port that we can use for video surveillance as well as Wi-Fi hotspot. So this has a lot of different applications. So you can, without needing to power a separate, without using another power point, you can actually use the auxiliary port, especially if you're high up on the tower or somewhere where it's hard to kind of send power through. It kind of makes sense to couple the video surveillance, video camera, or access point to the auxiliary port, so you can transmit data through that. So data comes in through the secondary port. It gets ported internally to the point-to-point and then it gets shooted out to the other end of the point-to-point solution. Also, you can kind of use it for the sync solution, so you can power the external GPS receiver. So in case you want to do a TDD sync, you can kind of use an external GPS receiver for that. You can also use it for receiving serial data as well. Also, you can kind of use it for the alignment tone, especially when you're trying to set up the point-to-point solution. You can use the alignment tone on the AUX port to kind of hear, and so that you align the point-to-points in precisely the right way, so that you can get the max. You're not missing it by a few degrees. These are the power supply solutions that we have. So we basically have two modules that work with the 450i solution. One is the AC power injector, which is one of the low-cost solution, which is 120 to 240 AC. The temperature range is from 0 to 40 degrees Celsius. And we have the AC/DC, which is the more ruggedized solution. It operates from -40 to +60. So it has an extended mode of operation. Also, it supports a longer cable, especially if you have a really tall tower that you want to get it onto, and also provides power for TDM module if you want to use it in that way. This is the surge suppressor so this is really useful for lightning strikes and those kind of solutions. So this is mainly used to protect the PTP 450i, and it's a wall mount, so you can kind of, as you kind of see in the picture, you have to kind of mount it and connect the two cables to the connector, so that you protect it from lightning strikes as well. So now let's talk a little bit about the PTP 450i dynamic interference. So mainly, so a lot of times when you see an actual channel, so it kind of looks something like this, where you have the spectrum, where you have some parts of the spectrum being utilized, some of them not being utilized, but due to RF, somehow you kind of try to find a clean channel. A lot of times there's post-channel interference, which means adjacent channels interfere with your clean channel to provide some sort of interference level. So say you found the selected channel solution over here, which is between the 5.1 and the 5.8. So what the radio actually would happen is, a lot of times the interference actually comes from the adjacent channels as well, and that affects the radio. This is traditionally how a filter would work. But for the Cambium dynamic filtering solution, what we do is we actually select the exact channel that we want to do, and we restrict only those channels by filtering it out, not by the band spectrum, but by the exact start and stop of that spectrum. So you basically filter out, instead of keeping the band, instead of keeping the filter at the 5.8 band solution, especially if you want to use it in the 5.8, we can kind of tailor it, or you can change it so that it is just selected at filtering is modified to the exact channel that you're trying to use. So the adjacent channel interference is completely reduced, and this also helps if you move from one channel to another channel. The filtering also moves within that selected channel as well, as shown in the presentation.
Now, Sigar, how long have we had this dynamic interference filtering available?
This has been some time. I think more than 12 months. This feature has been introduced, and it's been this actually helps out, especially in really bad conditions where you have really high interference level, especially on a really crowded tower where you have a lot of interference from different adjacent frequencies, especially with high power. This is really useful to kind of filter out those unwanted adjacent channel interference.
Great, thank you.
All right, so now let's focus a little bit on the best resources. These are useful for anybody and everybody. So the first thing that comes up is the LINKPlanner tool. This is a free tool, as you guys already know. This is really useful for planning your network. This is like the step one before we do anything. To plan out the network, just kind of see how many radios you need, what capacity are you going to get, what tower height needs to be at, and all those path profiles that we try to create. Once we have that, we can put in the configuration details, saying what interference level you want to do, and then what bands you want to use, and what product, or like the 450i, or what kind of backhaul solution do you want to use. And we have a summary performance. So this is based out of a standard, and then that kind of gives us the accurate estimate aggregate throughput. that you are expected to see based on this current level of interference. We can also modify the interference level if you feel you can kind of add and test it out on, once you test out, you can fill in some of those information as well.
Now, the important thing about LINKPlanner is this is not just a generic model. This uses your exact GPS locations, right?
That's correct. So you have a Google Maps also where you can physically go, or on the map you can actually go to that location and select what location you want to use and what tower height you're going to have. This also takes into account the unevenness of the earth, so which means, so this data is got from the Google network, which kind of calculates all the height of mountains and buildings. That's some of, not all the buildings, but some of them, but at least you get a fair idea of how much height you need to have, especially with ground elevation, or especially with water, if there's some water in between as well. The next area for good resources is the discussion forum that we have. So typically we are very prompt in engaging with our customers with respect to any questions or queries you have. The two that I've highlighted here is just, for example, how do you use jitter for the PTP 450i, and then someone on the engineering team as well as the product management team will get on top of the question and try to provide you the answer within 24 hours. So this also has the added advantage of checking on other issues that have already been resolved by just checking the forum. A lot of times there's a lot of tabs where there's a lot of problems that have already been discussed and solutions provided. A lot of times customers ask spec questions that are maybe saying, oh, is this product compatible with the 450i, and all of those information is already provided into the forum. It's already available over there, so it's a really good resource for that.
Great.
So one thing I forgot to mention was the knowledge base that we have. So on the website, you can kind of see next to the forum tab, you have the knowledge base tab. So this is really useful for new hires, or especially people who are getting used to the PTP 450i or even the PTP model in general. So we have a lot of getting started FAQs kind of questions. So this is really useful for people getting on board, especially for the first time, or maybe they've not used Cambium network before. So it's really useful. This kind of provides you like a step-by-step guide into how do you get involved with the product, how do you configure it, how do you set it up, and then what are the basic troubleshooting issues that you face, and then we provide step-by-step solution for the problems over there as well. All right, now we're going to do a little quick takeaway of the high-level points of the PTP 450i. So the first one, the radio, so there's two versions of the PTP 450i, the 5 gig band and the 3 gig band. The 5 gig band works in the 4.9 to 5.9 solution, and the 3 gig for the 3 gig it's from 3.3 to 3.9. The one of the key feature highlights is the dynamic interference filtering for the PTP 450i. It also is, we also have the ATEX and HAZLOC compliant versions of the PTP 450i already available. The max throughput for the 5 gig is more than 300 plus Mbps at the 40 meg channel. So we have the auxiliary port that the PTP 450i comes in with a lot of applications and advantages with respect to it can be used for video surveillance as camera. It can be used as backhauling for a Wi-Fi hotspot like an access point. You can also use it for GPS sync. Also, you can kind of use it for alignment tone, especially while installation is going on for the 450i. And that's it. So these were the high-level attributes of the PTP 450i. There's even much more information. We have specs on our forum, as well as a lot of presentation decks that you can review. A lot of white papers related to this as well.
Okay, and a lot of information is available free online on the community and certainly on our website. And this is a great time. If you have any questions, just use the question and answer dialog box on the right-hand side of your screen. And we do have a few that came in. The first one, Sagar, is Barrett is asking, when you talk about throughput, are you talking about full duplex or total aggregate throughput on the 450i?
Right. So the throughput is aggregate, so it includes uplink, downlink in that mode. So you send it's Yeah, so it's in that mode.
Now, does that include the overhead data, or is
Yes.
that the actual user throughput?
So that includes so that's a good question, and it depends. So it depends on the size of the bracket, the size of the packet, and so we have different versions. So you have the 2.5 millisecond frame size and the 5 millisecond frame size. If you have the 2.5, you have more packets, but then the overhead kind of becomes much more versus the 5 millisecond packet size that we have. So, but overall, the frame size this is not the phi rate, but the bits rate that is included is the 300 plus Mbps.
Okay, good. Let's see. One question that we did have, is there a connectorized version of the 3.65 gigahertz product?
Right. We do have that.
Okay. And just for the audience, can you explain what the difference is between integrated and connectorized?
Right. So the connectorized version is actually just the radio, and it does not include the antenna as a piece of it. Whereas the integrated is, you have actually mounted the antenna with the radio together, and that forms the integrated solution. So the advantages of the integrated versus connectorized. So integrated is really simple. You don't have to buy an external antenna. It's already fixed. We already have the specs for that already mentioned out. So a lot of times, if you want to know, the integrated version that we have is really fit for majority of the applications. But let's say you want to use this solution for a really long backhaul solution. So you want to shoot for a really long distance. You'd have to use a different kind of antenna which kind of zones in and has a really small beam width so that it can get to a really long distance. So then you have to use a connectorized version and use a different antenna to kind of achieve that same solution.
Okay, Mark is interested in seeing a view of the interface on the radio. Now, I know we're not set up to do that right here and now, but is there a place where he can go to take a look at that?
Right. Also, we do have a lot of shots and video presentations on the 450i on our on YouTube page, as well as our community, which talks about how do you configure, how do you set up, and there's a lot of walkthrough videos that we have for the 450i. So I'm pretty sure you should be able to find a few of them over there.
Yeah, and probably one great place to start would be on the community, in the knowledge base, in getting started.
Right.
That would be a good place to go, Mark.
Right.
We do have one other question about LINKPlanner, and the question here is LINKPlanner unique to Cambium equipment, or can it be used for any equipment?
So the LINKPlanner is unique to Cambium. It's developed by Cambium Networks. So but the applications are enormous. So you can kind of plan out your network using Cambium network products. And using that, you can kind of see and expect, you can realistically estimate what kind of throughputs and what kind of interference you're going to expect in the real world without actually driving to different locations and setting up towers and actually seeing the interference level by climbing up towers as well.
Okay, and of course, we here at Cambium prefer that you use Cambium equipment. Well, those are all the questions that we have today, Sagar. Thank you very much. Let's see. One last one just came in. Will the 3.65 gigahertz version sold today be compliant with future CBRS operations? And that's citizen band radio.
Right. That I will have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah, thank you. We will get back on that. And one other question just came in. Where can they find antenna patterns for the radio?
Right. All the antenna patterns should be on the community forum. You should be able to find the antenna patterns spec sheet as a spec, as well as the antenna pattern file over there.
Well, thanks everybody for attending. Thank you, Sagar, for presenting. And we look forward to seeing you on the community. If you have any other questions, you can certainly post them there. And also, we look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Thanks, everybody.